I'm Harvey Hubbell, and this is Show and Tell with Harvey Hubbell, right? That's the name of the show, and that's Maria Murray, and that's Kari Kurto. How did I never get anybody's names right because
You are says
you are says well, that's the thing. Isn't it a weird thing? Because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm dyslexic. And I have bad phonological processing, and I hang out with guys like you all the time. This is crazy. Anyway, I am so happy to be talking to you guys right now. And we're going to do two 20-minute sections. This is our first 20-minute section. And
Okay.
we've been meaning to do this. And I want to talk about a couple things. But you guys have just released something super cool. And something that levels the playing field for parents and educators, right? Tell me if I'm right about this, because it's, with all the science of reading, which is all this information I got to learn and know this stuff,
Yeah.
you guys have just leveled the playing field. And I want to know, how did the curriculum evaluation or a curriculum navigation guide or report or whatever it's called, give me the
Yes,
right
you got
name.
it. You got
It's a
it.
report. So it's curriculum navigation report.
Yes.
So tell me how this all came about, and tell me why this is a game changer, because I think it's a game changer.
It is a game changer, even more than we ever dreamed it to be. So, but we knew it was necessary, and it started with the birth of us deciding around 2018, 2019 that we needed to first clear the air and hit reset and go, wait, what is the science of reading? Because until everyone gets a real firm grasp on that term that is getting it all over the place, misunderstood, underapplied, we run the very real risk of people not even understanding what it is and therefore thinking they're using it, doing it. But Kari makes a good point that how can you do the science of reading if the science of reading is a body of knowledge? But so little things like that were starting to pile up to a grave concern that people even were calling for an expansion of the term science of reading to include all kinds of research, but that makes no sense because the science of reading is a kind of research. So we set out to make that clear, and even to say what it is not just what it is. And that ended up in I can reach out of my black screen, right? And then that led to the purple book that people can download for free. So the defining guide exists in Spanish, English, and so that was a great project. But then, Kari, to give them a voice break, want to tell them what happened after that?
I feel like I'll go to the B story, right? We're talking to a film guy here with the A story now. B story, Kari Kurto, Rhode Island, establishing shot, daytime. Um, Meanwhile, in Rhode Island, prior to joining the Reading League, I worked at the Rhode Island Department of Education, and I was seeing this in action like a lot, right? People misunderstanding what the science of reading is, what it's not, and publishers that were slapping the old science of reading sticker on a product and saying, here we are, buy me, check this box, and you will be doing the science of reading. And it made me, as the kids say, was cringy. Made me cringe quite a bit. So I was very honored to be able to just support as a volunteer the work of the defining guide, and then the next step, which was really unpacking what do we know, what are those consensus items that we can understand and lift from the research that tell us what kids need to develop skilled reading. So that was really the intent of the tool, is what are those things that are necessary, but also we noted that there were instructional materials that had been reviewed and they include all of the aligned components, but there were also these practices nestled in there that teachers were asking for, that, Ed Prep was asking for, that ran counter to the science. So you might have a great program that includes these aligned components, but you had no way of determining what aspects of the instruction were actually not aligned to the science of reading. So that's another intent of the curriculum evaluation tool, which got refined, several times. We added research. We had a consultant read the research and make sure that the components were derived directly from the research. And we refined it until it became what was posted in March of 2023. Do you want to add anything, Maria?
It now has a workbook, so people using the tool or the guidelines, excuse me, the CEG are the curriculum evaluation guidelines. That's what Kari's are talking about. These multi-page guidelines now have all these pages of the research that she just spoke of and a workbook, so people can, as teams, make note of what they're finding on what page and where it's missing on a curriculum. But and as great as that was, it really was great, and it still is, and it always will be. We also had something else dawn on us that it's really hard for schools, teams, educators to review a curriculum because they don't have all of the boxes of things, all of the teacher manuals and the student readers and all of the accessories that come with it to really do a thorough review. We also learned that the ways that they were using the tool weren't always as intended, and not, not trying to cheat or anything, but they were saying, well, we figured out a way to do this is we just send the evaluation tool to the publisher themselves, ask them to fill it out and send it back to us so we can figure out what one to pick. No, 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 no. So it became clear it's time consuming. Maybe they're lacking the knowledge. Maybe they have biases. They already have it in their mind what one they want, and they're going to bend our tool to fit it. And so we thought, okay, it's time for us to actually do the reviews ourselves using this tool.
First of all, I forgot to kind of just mention, what is the Reading League? I mean, the Reading League now, how many people, and you're in how many states? So, I mean, you guys are really like, I always, the Justice League. I mean, you guys are equalizing. You're there for the educators. And even though this is made for the educators, it's really, your audience is really decision makers, policy makers, school superintendents, curriculum chiefs, Board of Education people, parents, parents that want to equalize it. So you guys are the equalizers. So who is the Reading League of when you guys put this all together?
Thank you. The Reading League started out as a nonprofit idea at a kitchen table for a group of us who had seen enough and known enough to know we should be doing better, and thought maybe we could get, I don't know if you remember the book Horton Hears a Who, and they eventually, all scream, "We are here, we are here, we are here." Yep. And so maybe we could just disrupt that kind of those harmful practices that were marching up and down the street uninterrupted. So that's what we did here in Central New York. And it grew and it grew and it grew because there was it's so mundane to say, but everyone was hungry for it. Teachers were hungry for what they could do because they are smart people, they're dedicated people, they are the best humans in the world, teachers, and they want to do best for their kids. They go in every day, and many are like, what is wrong? Why am I not changing things? So now we have 33 states, chapters rather, and 33 states. More to come very soon. Probably in a couple years, we'll have all 50 states. And we have tens of thousands of people who subscribe to our e-newsletter because they want to stay in touch with us. A journal. We're going to be in Charlotte. Are you going to be there in October, Harvey?
I'd like to be there.
I hope so. That'll be great. We're going to almost double our numbers. And that we just finished another beautiful summit in San Diego with the ELEB community. So we have a television show for children. So we're in showbiz too, the Reading Buddies TV show. And PD, we are in many dozens of school districts across the U.S. providing professional development, long-term professional development to transform schools and districts to the science of reading and its findings. So that's who we are. And then, of course, providing all these wonderful resources to all those stakeholders you listed, Harvey, because it can't just be those teachers. They are very vulnerable to the decisions that those people in power make above them. I hate to say the word above, but somewhere out there, there are ivory towers and state ed department buildings and offices where people make decisions and choices that could easily dismantle what they're doing. And that's why we have to address more than just what's happening in the classroom.
I love what you guys are doing. Kari, we cut you off because I needed to have Maria tell us about the Reading League. But so tell me, so you're Reading League. You're in Rhode Island. She's in New York. But together we're all United States of America Reading League. I love that. So Kari, fill us in on what we should know.
Yeah, so I think I was sharing about some of my experience at the Rhode Island Department of Education. But first, I would just like to agree that, we want to support our primary role is really supporting educators to do what they do. And just to uplift a quote from the administrator page of the Reading League Compass, which is a resource that directly provides reliable resources and guidance for now 6 targeted stakeholder groups, including a page for administrators. And it says, as educators gain professional knowledge about reading instruction, it's common to hear them say something like, once we know better, we do better. In order for them to do better, educators need administrators who are committed to providing them with the resources and support needed to succeed. And it goes on to articulate how they can do so. But I couldn't agree more, right? We need to support these educators to do what they do and support evidence-based practices in their classrooms. So, all right. Now, flashback. Now we're back to Rhode Island Department of Education and seeing the publishers that are providing PD on the science of reading, but maybe it's only on one aspect of instruction, and there are really practices in their materials that don't align to the research, whether it's word recognition or language comprehension or not as robust writing instruction or a lack of handwriting, any of those aspects, right? The curriculum evaluation guidelines really delineate all of those practices that are necessary, right? It's like Hollis's metaphor of the rope and then some, right? Because we include reading comprehension, writing, and even assessments. So without that guidance, then our state was another state that passed a high quality curriculum law, and it included just the all green on ed reports. And so I saw schools and districts adopting these curricula that included red flag practices, and no one was, there to stop them, except for, I tried 2 weeks into my job. I tried. Didn't go so well.
What happened?
Um,
You tried. What happened?
I did. I tried. There, I'm not sure if I can comment on it specifically, but I tried and I articulated all of the practices that were within these curricula that did not align to the evidence. And it was used in later resources when we helped to guide schools and districts. But I couldn't save the day for some schools that had adopted these materials 2 weeks into my job, unfortunately. So anyways, just to back up what Maria said, that schools may not have the time, the specific knowledge needed in how to understand the evidence-aligned practices and red flags of the curriculum evaluation guidelines and how they relate to curriculum. So I was very supportive of the decision to actually engage in a review by the Reading League. And we went about it very slowly, thoughtfully, meticulously, looking at it from a legal perspective, looking at it from a publisher's perspective, from a validity perspective, from a curriculum evaluation guidelines usability perspective. We did a pilot review just to kind of, it was like a two-way mirror almost. We were watching them review and listening to the discussions and how would this go? And it went really well. The discussions were fascinating. And it even gave us greater resolve because these experts that we had reviewing the curriculum still were having very in-depth conversations about what does this mean specifically. And it took at least 3 of them to really norm on that. So we followed that process. Matt Burns conducted an iterator reliability study that we were pleased had very good results. And after the pilot and the iterator reliability study, we said we have something here and we could really provide a helpful service to the field. And we do stand firm in that these are non-biased, really focused on the research against the language within the instructional materials themselves. It's not us saying we think that and we think this. This is what the research says, and this is how the materials compare to it. Here's all of this information for your school and district to read, to use, either to make a decision or we know that schools and districts have just used a bunch of ESSER funds to have their materials. They may not be able to purchase them for another several years if their materials are not as aligned to the science. So read these reports, and it can help you find strengths and challenges in the instructional materials that you have in your schools right now.
I love that. You know what? This is kind of like going back to that Hollywood thing. This is like a Western. I mean, you guys were like, you were out there fighting the system, and all of a sudden the system like goes back, and then you go and you join the league, the reading league, and you guys all band together, and you're like, and you guys have rational conversations about it at the table. You figure it out, and you break it down, and what educators are. You speak the language of educators. You guys are educators. You speak the language of educators, and you know what it is, and you know how to fix it. So I love the fact that you guys have gotten together, but there are people watching right now that are saying, we must have this. How do people get this?
So there's a new section of the Reading League's website called the Reading League Compass. It launched in October. You were there at the conference, Harvey, when we had the big launch. We have pages for a page for administrators, one for educator preparation programs, one for those who work with English learners and emergent bilingual students. We have a page for policymakers and state education agencies, and of course, a page for educators with lots of great resources. But May 1st, we launched a brand new page, Reading Compass for curriculum decision makers. So if you go to thereadingleague.org/compass, you'll see the beautiful compass pop up with all of the stakeholder groups. Check them all out. But in the upper left-hand corner, click on curriculum decision makers and read through our process so that you can know and understand that this is a trustworthy report. Read the content that's, before you use the reports, please understand this. And then at the bottom of the page, you have 7 reports that are currently linked. And we will add more reports throughout the year. We hope to come up with 10 in the next calendar year. As with anything, sometimes the process takes a little bit longer, especially because we are still trying to be fair to publishers and make sure that they have their voices heard. We share the narrative report with them before we post it so that they can catch anything if there's something that wasn't included or was interpreted perhaps in a different way than intended. We do engage in those conversations to make sure that what is published is true to the materials but mostly true to the truth, the evidence, and the research.
The Justice League, the Reading League, the Justice League. You guys are like game changers. I love that.
Social Justice League, right?
Social Justice League. Well, I mean, you're making a difference.
Reading is a social justice thing, man.
Of our time. Okay, so I love what you guys are saying. We've been talking about the curriculum report, the curriculum guidelines, the evaluations of it that nobody else is doing except for you guys. You guys are the first people. You guys are the first people to do it, right?
There are other curriculum review tools out there, resources.
Nobody else.
They do like alignment to the standards, or like none of the other tools are as steeped directly in the research, have all of the citations, scientifically based research, and none of them uplift the red flag practices. So yes, absolutely, we are the first in that.
Wow. I'm loving that. So, okay, so we're talking to Maria and Kari and from the Reading League, and we talked about the navigational the curriculum.
It's a lot.
Can you say what it is?
The reports that people can read on the curriculum are called the curriculum navigation reports. And navigation's a cute word because they exist on the Compass website. See, everything's to point people in the right direction. Go that way.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back in our second piece and talk about the compass and how that came before. I should have went to there first, but we were going to talk about that before. But we're going to talk about that when we come back. Talk about the compass and then how that it grows in with the curriculum guideline
Navigation
navigational thing.
reports.
I wish I was as smart as you guys. All right.